Hi, Chaitanya Choksi here. I'm a fund manager at JM Financial Mutual Fund, and I've been with JM since February of 2008. And here I'm the co-fund manager for the ELSS as well as the small cap schemes. I've done my MMS in finance, specializing in finance and from NMIMS, and I was always interested in the financial markets, the capital markets, and that's what attracted me to this field, and that's why I had taken up finance as my major when I was doing my MBA. And from campus, there were not many opportunities that there were to actually enter the equity market space. My first job, which was UTI Investment Advisory Services, where I got recruited from campus, that was an offshore fund managed by UTI, and that was sort of my stepping stone in my career. From campus I was recruited into that company, and I started off as a research analyst. And as a research analyst, we have to cover quite a few sectors, like say auto, FMCG, hotels. And from there, I had subsequently I had joined ILNFS and Westmart in their portfolio management division. So there also I was working as a research analyst again across a few sectors. Subsequent to that, I joined a family office, which was a small family office managing funds for an NRI family. It was a London-based NRI group having investments across the globe, and they had started, investing their money into India. So I was there for a short stint, and I got an opportunity to work with Lotus Mutual Fund, which was a joint venture between Fullerton Fund Management, which is a unit of Temasek, as well as Sabre Capital Worldwide. So they had started off with their mutual fund venture, got an opportunity to work there as a research analyst, again across sectors. So I was there for a couple of years, and then in February of 2008, I joined JM Financial Mutual Fund, and since then I have been with JM. Initially, I started off as a research analyst in JM, and in 2011, I got the opportunity to manage the arbitrage fund. I started managing active equity funds from 2014 onwards. Now, 2014 to 24, over the last 10 years, I've had the opportunity to co-manage quite a few funds under the JM umbrella, and that is sort of briefly how my journey has been. So the correlation across so many variables and how it sort of impacts stocks, that is something I really like, and that's why I'm in this space for so long now. So JM Small Cap Fund, as you are aware, as per SEBI categorization norms, SEBI एक market cap categorization करता है कि कौन से stocks large cap है, कौन से stocks mid cap है और कौन से stocks small cap है. So as per that categorization, और ये list every 6 months update होती है. So top 100 is large cap, 101 to 250 is mid cap, and beyond 250 everything is small cap. So the characteristic of categorization of the fund के हिसाब से JM small cap fund में we need to invest at least 65% of our AUM in small cap stocks. That's the minimum criteria. So JM small cap fund, this is a recent launch of ours. In fact, this was the last NFO that we had. We have completed just over 4 months now with that fund. So in this fund, what we try to do is our outlook for the market and our outlook for the country and the economy. Based on that, we have tried to identify the sectors, and within those sectors, which stocks are going to benefit from the sectors that we are positive on. So for example, some of the themes that we are positive on are, say, things like, say, financialization of savings, or, the formalization of the economy, manufacturing side, growth potential in the country. So from these sectors and the themes that we are positive on, we try to identify which are the companies which are going to benefit, most of these within the small cap segment. And one thing which we have seen is that a lot of the companies which are benefiting from this theme, they are part of the small cap basket of the market. So there is a lot of potential to identify stocks within this, whole universe which are aligned to the sectors which we are bullish on. To give some examples, things like say electronics manufacturing, that is something that we are quite positive on as a fund house, and all the companies under that umbrella mostly fall under the small cap space. Secondly, we feel that even things like say IPOs and the diversity of sectors to identify stocks from Jan 23 onwards, most of the IPOs which have come since Jan 23 onwards, a majority of them have been in the small cap space, and that also has been across a diverse range of sectors. So we feel that the opportunity to identify high growth companies and to identify companies with long term potential to grow, and which also give us longer runway for growth and visibility of earnings is in the small cap space. To summarize, I think a lot of opportunity to identify high growth companies with the right characteristics in terms of valuation and growth. We will try to ensure that we don't overpay for anything that we buy, and also in terms of our risk management, we continuously monitor our holdings and make changes to that. So हमारा मानना ये है कि इंडिया इज़ अ ग्रोथ मार्केट क्लियरली, अगर इंडिया दुनिया में कहीं पे भी ग्रोथ है तो वो हमारे देश में है. सो एज अ फंड हाउस भी वी आर ग्रोथ ओरिएंटेड फंड हाउस. हमारा फिलोसफी कॉल्ड गीक फिलोसफी, which is growth of earnings and earnings quality. So that is something what we follow at a fund house level, and that is the process that we have. So we run filters on both these parameters. For example, under growth of earnings, some of the metrics that we see are what is the earnings growth potential of the company, and what is the earnings growth outlook. At the same time, what is the valuation that we are paying for that growth? So, that is on the growth side. On the earnings quality side, we feel that even if companies grow at a very good rate, but if their balance sheets are not aligned to that growth and they have to, take over more debt, or a lot of their cash flows are going into capex or funding their working capital. Ideally we like companies which are high free cash generating, so that they can invest for their growth by themselves and not having to borrow for that growth. So parameters like operating cash flow to EBITDA of say 65%, our return on equity and return on capital employed, those are the two most important metrics that we follow, and we try and have companies which have ROE of more than 15%. So a lot of these parameters, as a team, we do this exercise initially on the BSE 500, which is our benchmark for most of our schemes, and then that process follows. So we run filters on all of these parameters. Additionally, one of the most important parameter for us as a fund house is that management quality. तो ये particular factor पे हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा ध्यान देते हैं कि जो कंपनी का मैनेजमेंट हो, उनका कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस हो, और उनका जो ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड रहा है इतने सालों में, वी ट्राई टू एंश्योर दैट पोर्टफोलियो में जो भी कंपनीज है वहाँ पे कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड में दे हैव अ वेरी गुड स्कोर, हाई स्कोर ऑन दैट फ्रंट. सो इन ब्रीफली दिस इज हाउ आई वुड पुट आवर इन्वेस्टमेंट फिलोसफी. सो मार्केट्स में आप सबको पता है कि लास्ट फ्यू इयर्स स्पेशली कोविड के बाद वी हैड अ वेरी गुड रन इन आवर मार्केट्स. देयर हैव बीन अ लॉट ऑफ फैक्टर्स व्हिच हैव ड्रिवन दिस आउट परफॉर्मेंस. आपको याद होगा कोविड के टाइम अर्निंग्स काफी डिप्रेस हो गई थी, एंड पोस्ट दैट जब ओपन अप ट्रेड आया, एंड सिंस देन अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स हैव वर्कड वेल फॉर द कंट्री एंड द इकोनॉमी. एडिशनली आपको याद होगा कि आफ्टर द रेट हाइक साइकिल इन द यूएस एज वेल एज इन इंडिया, the way India managed our economy was much better than our global counterparts. Why we feel that Indian markets have done well and will continue to do well is because, one, the government stability is one big factor, and the continuity of policy reforms by the current government, the way the fiscal and the monetary side of the economy has been managed. Some of the other factors which have helped us is things like say UPI and the whole digital payments infrastructure, the policy in terms of GST, which was a very big reform for our country. तो ये सभी जो reforms हुए हैं इतने सालों में, और वो जो रिफॉर्म्स का जो पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट और जो बेनिफिट है वो हमें दिख रहा है हमारे कॉर्पोरेट अर्निंग्स में, हमारे देश की ग्रोथ में, और आगे जाके भी हमारा मानना है कि दिस विल कंटिन्यू टू benefit the economy in terms of our overall growth as well as corporate earnings. So, slightly longer term, अगर मुझे आपको view देना है तो I am very bullish on the economy and I feel that there is still a long runway of growth. But in the short term, we've had a very good rally over the last 3 years. एंड वैल्यूएशंस जो है वो हमारे थोड़े लॉन्ग टर्म एवरेजेस के ऊपर चल रहे हैं. सो देयर will be some period of consolidation. Now again, a lot of things are happening globally on the geopolitical front. Even we had the US elections, just happened last week. The results came out, and there can be some volatility related to that in terms of, say, global trade, global flows, interest rates. But that is all short term. So in terms of sectors, there are a few which, some of the themes I spoke about earlier, which, there are a lot of companies which benefit from these themes. Like, say, in the markets, post-COVID, you have seen a surge of retail money coming in, right? A lot of, even the mutual fund numbers आप देख रहे हैं, month on month, जो SIP का proportion है वो बढ़ते जा रहा है. In fact, last month का SIP numbers monthly has crossed 25,000 crores. तो ये जो retail participation in the markets है, ये जो equity, sort of ownership, that is something we feel that will continue to grow. So ये जो फाइनेंशियलाइजेशन ऑफ सेविंग्स है एंड द फॉर्मलाइजेशन ऑफ द इकोनॉमी because of GST and a lot of other factors, policy changes, we feel that there are a lot of companies which will benefit from this. And also things like, say, Make in India, manufacturing more and more getting outsourced to India. Even MNC companies are talking more and more on that front. And all sectors where there is import substitution, where government policy is favoring those sectors, that is something which we are very positive on. From a small cap perspective, normally what we have seen is that in any typical market corrections, small caps generally tend to do sort of correct the most as compared to large and mid cap stocks. That's the overall thought in the market, and that also generally plays out depending on which phase of the market we are on and what is the level of valuations. But having said that, we feel that clear opportunity for this segment is that, when companies start small from the lower base, as they keep growing and, they keep delivering on their profitability and top line numbers, that's when actually the best returns are made, when when a stock moves from a small cap to a mid cap side of the market. And this is something which, if we are able to identify the right small caps and stay with them for a longer period of time, that is something which will help the investor in this fund. Secondly, we have seen that over longer periods of time, the small cap side of the market in terms of long term returns, say 5-year, 10-year and beyond, small caps tend to do better than some of the other segments of the market. In terms of constraint, apart from the volatility side of the mid caps, some of them do tend to have a higher beta, and that is something that an investor needs to be careful about, and at which point of the phase of the market are we investing in. So, as overall, just to summarize my thoughts on the markets and our country, we continue to be very bullish on the markets, and some of the policy reforms that we have seen by the government over the last few years, they are showing results. And going ahead also, a lot of the new initiatives which the government is taking will definitely ensure sustained earnings growth momentum in our economy. Globally, our economy is doing much better than most of the larger markets worldwide, and we are the highest growing major economy in the world. So for an investor, I would sort of suggest that you take a longer term view, invest in good funds, and be in it for the longer term. Don't try to time the market. I am very sure that we will continue to do well.
Investments in the securities market are subject to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.